immunology, et cetera. It's a fascinating, burgeoning area of research that's being tied to drug development as well.
It's amazing because I never heard about gut health until, you know, a few years ago. I mean, I have a good friend who's the head of the F Factor diet. It's all about fiber and how important gut health is, and that the bacteria and toxins need to be flushed out of the body, right? Is it so key?
It is very key. So by the numbers, you have 23,000 genes in your human body. There are 200 times that genetic material in the bacteria in your gut. So they have to play a role in helping you not only digest food, but also to create the circumstances for your overall health that go beyond your gut.
I mean, now I just have to ask you, meat, no meat, does it matter?
It probably does matter, and if scientists are studying the effect of meat and meatless diets and the effect it has on your overall health, I think the jury's still out, which means that we can sell a lot of our kits to study the gut microbiome.
Less meat is better?
That's what they're thinking, yes.
Fiber is so key?
Fiber is key also, yes.
Probiotics?
Probiotics, but we need to find out the link to actually grow the bacteria that's right for your body.
So the company is based in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
What kind of companies are you looking at since you're in this growth by acquisition phase? What kind of companies are you looking at right now for 2020? What would you like in your ideal world?
Well, we've acquired 3 companies this year, and 2 of them are around the whole microbiome area. They give us the ability to not only sample the gut microbiome, but actually do the analysis and create the reports that show you what your microbiome actually consists of. And another one takes first void urine and it helps you diagnose sexually transmitted diseases and cancer risks also. So those are the types of companies we've acquired today. We're also looking to add to our infectious disease portfolio where we have tests for HIV, for hepatitis C, and for Ebola. So that's our playing field.
I was reading at one point that you had sales that were had negative year-over-year growth of 6.4%. So, and the stock's been under a little bit of pressure. What may change in this picture? Are you worried when you look at those kinds of numbers, or not so much?
Not so much, because that has largely to do with the customer concentration issues. So one of our largest customers pulled back their buying behavior. We're not so concerned about that because they have certain minimums built into a long-term contract, and so we're looking to grow our business really beyond that, and that's what we've been reporting.
And the company, no debt, right?
No debt.
How will you sustain profitability?
Well, we have high margin products, so we work on our cost of goods sold. We also work on our operating income. But we also have $200 million on our balance sheet at the end of the third quarter. So we have plenty of firepower for acquisitions.
All right, Dr. Stephen Tang, thank you so much. Great
Pleasure,
to
Nicole.
see you.
Same here.
President and CEO of OraSure Technologies rang the opening bell here at the NASDAQ this morning. Still ahead in the second half of our show, a look at November's auto sales. What trends stood out among the rest and what fell behind? And as we take a break, take a look at some of the winners and losers in the S&P 500, which right now is down 0.84%. That was super. That was super. Then I had to just ask all the key questions that everybody really wants to know. So the probiotics, what did you say? I forget the answer already. Yeah, my mother swears by them.
We don't know the scientific link yet.
Right.
So people know generally probiotics are good, but it has to be good for you, not for somebody else. And
that's so
the
wild.
aspect of personalized medicine.
I know, everybody's lecturing everybody on what we're supposed to eat, not eat,
No,
fiber, no fiber, no meat, probiotics. Oh, here comes the next guest. It's so nice to meet you.
Yep.
Thank you. Do you have a card with you or no? If you do, I'll have it. Thank you so much. I'll take it. Great to meet you. Congratulations.
Okay.
Come back soon, okay?
How'd it go?
Have a nice holiday. We grilled him. I mean, he's never coming back, he said.
How are you doing?
Nice to see you.
So the last
so
time
much.
we had the mix-up, and I was here,
Uh-oh.
but I think I did a call-in with you.
What? No,
Yeah.
I can't. Where was I? In Turks and Caicos? I mean, no, that could not have been me.
No, it wasn't you?
No, that
I
could
swear
not
it was a
have
female,
been
it wasn't
me.
Oliver.
Oh, yes, I anchored from Chicago.
See?
Wait.
You were somewhere
I anchored
else.
from Chicago a while ago? Was it a
You
while
were somewhere
ago?
else. I don't know. And
That's so wild. I wonder when that
it
was.
was probably really boring
How long
for you.
ago was
Aeon
it?
and Marshmack and
How long ago was that?
I think it was just a couple months ago.
Must have been when I went to Chicago.
But then you and I did one time. We were
there.
there, but it was. I think it was end of September.
Phew, thank goodness we're both
Yeah, it was
here
end
now.
End of September.
Okay, good.
So
Yeah, I remember we did one over there.
so I didn't know,
That I remember.
of the 4 that I threw out there, did you want me to be bringing up all of them, or is it so short?
I
that you can,
have
like, be surface level on all?
YCG Enhanced Fund and all about the holdings, tax banks, a lot of MasterCard, Wells Fargo.
Oh, okay, so you don't have,
I have a
you're just
lot-
going to question me about things.
I
in
have
general.
market stocks trends, advantages to deferring your taxes. I have the enhanced fund. They may show the other funds. They make graphics and stuff.
Okay. Where should I look?
You can look at me.
Okay.
I'm just going to talk to Sarah for one quick second. Welcome back to the Watch List, live from the NASDAQ market site right here in New York City. Here's what's still ahead in the second half of our show. We're joined by the CIO and portfolio manager of a 5-star rated fund with some global stock picks to pump up your portfolio. Then we'll take a look at the biggest gainers and losers from November's auto sales data. And later, we have a handful of hot momentum consumer staples stock picks. Just 2.5 hours left in the trading day, so let's take a look. The Dow had been down over 400 points. Right now, it is down 324 points. The NASDAQ 100 falling just under 1%. The S&P 500 down 0.8%. Let's bring in Sarah Roback, contributor for the TD Ameritrade Network. Sarah, investors are certainly watching Salesforce earnings very closely today after the market close, and some believe that the report will have a wider impact on the overall software sector. So what are some of the details and expectations of this report? Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, so we'll watch for that. I'm excited for it. How about Marvell Technology? Earnings are also due out later today. And what are the analysts looking for that company? All right, Sarah Roback, thank you so much. TD Ameritrade Network contributor. It was great to see you. Thank you, Sarah. Now let's get to today's features segment with Brian Yachman, the CIO of YCG Investments, and as we said, 5-star fund. It's great to see you. Thanks for being
Thanks for having me back.
So are you spooked by the sell-off today or not really?
No, I could take a nap. It's fine.
Oh, so that's the point. I mean, and that's what I was saying, is that traders are not spooked by a little bit of a sell-off, particularly when you have markets up over 20% this year. We had a guest on earlier, Michael Lee, who uses these as buying opportunities, these pullbacks. Do you think it's a buying opportunity?
Sure. I mean, especially if you're a long-term investor. I mean, I think this is sort of trade on, trade off, and it just provides, the volatility provides opportunities. And we're much more long-term, and I'm thinking in terms of, are the businesses that I own today, are they going to be materially larger in the future? And if so, this is just a blip on the radar.
So you're looking more at the fundamentals of companies even more than you are about the stock market. I mean, Morgan Stanley said that by the end of next year, they see the S&P 500 at 3,000, which was down 5% from yesterday. It looks like it's getting closer to 3,000 now. Right here we are at 3,089. I mean, they put this out yesterday morning. And, you know, they don't see such a great year ahead, but that's not what you're looking at. You're looking more at specific companies and the fundamentals.
Yeah, I just think it's too unpredictable. And so you could say, oh, it's been such a strong year, maybe things will do well, or things will be slower next year. But you look at, we came off the heels off of a bad year. And really, at the end of the day, I just think it's too unpredictable. And so when investors start accepting it's difficult to time a recession, then they get to really down to the basics of focusing on where can I find superior companies where I can really make long-term investment returns.
So you have several funds, and I know in some, I was looking at top holdings, I saw a lot of banks, I saw some technology. What are some of the trading ideas that you use in order to have successful funds? So
primarily we're looking for global champions. And global champions that have enduring pricing power and a very long runway for growth opportunities. This past year, if you look at our portfolio and the things that worked, the top 4, I mean, holdings that had over 50% gains, they've all been shining stars that have, I would call them global champions with network effects to them. And even though they did so well, we still believe that they'll continue to outperform in the future.
And some of those examples would be names such as?
So MSCI is an international index provider. You got the protocol network effect. Then you have Copart, which is probably lesser known, but it's a two-sided network effect of auto salvage. So any cars that get salvaged basically go through their networks, but it's a global company. And then also MasterCard is another top performer, and Moody's. All 4 of these have either a two-sided network or a protocol network effect that gives them a very strong advantage with pricing power.
Plan to continue to hold these going into the new year? Any reason to change right now?
Yeah, I mean, the way we look at that is, I think a lot of times investors underestimate the value of being able to compound on Uncle Sam's money. So meaning, I don't want to just sell these holdings that I believe will have superior corporate performance for many years to come, simply because they've outperformed, they're up 50% this year or more. To me, what I want to do is I recognize if I just stay here, I can participate in the superior corporate performance for many years and not have to worry about paying those taxes. Instead, I can actually earn money on that taxes by staying put.
And so you defer taxes by doing that. That's the advantage with if you don't realize the gains. And potentially, I mean, you know, some people say you take some off the table, but I mean, in this case, I guess it could balance out some of your trades that didn't do well.
Yeah, and when we would do that, I suppose we look at it after tax. So we say after tax, what is the forward-looking rate of return on this holding? And then if the forward rate of return after you pay tax is worth it to move into another holding that has a higher expected return, then yeah, sure, we'll make a portfolio adjustment.
I saw some other cool names in there: Google, Facebook, Estee Lauder, Bank of America, JP Morgan. Any thoughts on some of those?
Well, when you bring up the banks, I think it's important that this time that investors have a hedge should interest rates surprise to the upside. And several months ago, we were actually, I was on TD Ameritrade suggesting back in July, and even though that trade has somewhat closed, you know, the market's up, but the banks are up much more significantly. So I would still look at these stocks today simply because they're still cheap relative to historic standards. They're more conservatively capitalized. And if interest rates do surprise the upside, a lot of stocks are going to have multiple compression, whereas with the banks, you could actually have multiple expansion as earning power increases at an unexpected surprise to the
Did
upside.
you have a quick thought on the Facebook Google?
Just that I think there's an overarching regulatory overhang that's making them much more attractive than they should be, given their dominance and certainty in the long run.
Oh, yeah. So that's the global story, is that everybody around the world's using Facebook, is your point, right? And Google.
Yeah, I mean, you got that
it.
network effect with both of them and pricing power with them both.
Yes. Brian Yachman, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for being here. CIO of YCG Investments. Thanks for joining us on the show. Still ahead, we bring in our panel to discuss all things autos. We've gotten in some of the latest numbers, the November sales numbers, a look at how important one extra calendar day really was for the industry. You don't want to miss it. We'll explain right after the break. Woohoo! That was super. Thank you very much. It's nice to see you.
Thanks. It's always
Getting
I never
closer.
know what you're going to say or ask, so it's always like.
Oh, well,
inside
you
of my
know
heart,
it all
something comes out
anyway.
of my
You know
mouth.
it all. It's all in your brain anyway. Thank you very much. Nice to see you. I started to I have a creepy thought. Are these bulletproof? They are, right? Or they're not?
That's a very good question.
I would like to know if they are. Are the windows bulletproof?
Yes, they are.
They should be, right? They are. Are you just guessing or you know?
No, Ken just said it.
Kenny was here and they installed it. He works for NASDAQ. He just told us on our air.
Okay, good.
It's bullet and shattered.
No, because everything at the New York Stock Exchange was, you know, all of our doors and windows and stuff. The weirdest part is I hate how I thought of that.
I mean, unfortunately, it's the world we live in.
We have the police with the machine guns out there. Yeah, well, I'm the first chair, so by the time I'm dead and hanging off the chair, the guys will come and save you guys. So,
I'll grab you for you.
yeah, all right. I was already thinking about, like, where would I run? Well, look, you see that heat map? By the way, see that heat map that just showed in that commercial? It was like red and green and it showed. I mean, instead of, since we can't do sectors, that heat map is broken down into sectors. I meant to ask Sean, like something that we could show.
15.
Yeah, I think just to like maybe something we could show like each day as we go to George, or just to give us like some market perspective, you know?
5. Return.
Did we actually get numbers in? Because I was looking, I didn't really see. Auto sales for the month of November are expected to pick up slightly due to that extra one day. It was a shopping weekend ahead of Thanksgiving holiday. What does it mean for the current month and the trends that we look at? What's in the spotlight? That's why we bring in our expert panel. Michelle Krebs, executive analyst at Auto Trader, and Tyson Jominy, vice president of data and analytics at JD Power. It's great to see you both. Michelle, I'll begin with you. When we talk about this extra day, it was apparently huge, right, for the industry, for autos and the buying that goes along with it. Yeah, so Tyson, when we look at what's going on here with the numbers, what do you make of it? Are you seeing a very enthusiastic consumer? What are they buying overall in particular? Yeah, and in fact, actually, Tyson, when we were looking at those incentives, I mean, I was looking at some sort of records and fleet activity, but the incentives were really jumping out in all the stories that I was reading. And why are the incentives so high? Also, I wanted to ask you, Michelle, about all things GM and the strike that went along with it. And there's actually a battle going on between General Motors and Fiat Chrysler about bribing union officials. GM is saying that the Fiat Chrysler folks are doing that. They're denying that. The strike, the union, your thoughts? Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Another thing that has been front and center is EV, right? Electric vehicles, Tyson, and the LA Auto Show. And I saw you mentioned some names here: Ford Mustang Mach-E, the Tesla Cybertruck, Audi, Hyundai. What's going on with electric vehicles, Tyson? How much in demand will they really be? And Michelle, what are your thoughts on EVs, or just what's hot and what's not? What do you think sells going into 2020? We talked about SUVs being hot. Good point. All right, great to see you both. Thanks to our panel, Michelle Krebs, Executive Analyst at Auto Trader, and Tyson Dominy, Vice President of Data and Analytics at JD Power. Our next guest has some hot momentum stocks picks and the consumer sector for you, the consumer staples, and one name that you may not be very familiar with as well. We'll be right back on the watch list. Great. Okay.
Twenty seconds. 15. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome back to the watch list. Let's bring in Lee Munson, Chief Investment Officer at Portfolio Wealth Advisors. Lee, it's great to see you. I think it's interesting you're getting into some of these consumer names, consumer staples. The market's down 400 points. What's going on here? And why are you looking at this group in particular? It's funny, I don't really think of Estee Lauder as some big social, they must really be pushing in that area. And we know that many companies are doing very well when they push onto digital and social media. So you like those names. You like what you've mentioned so far, Costco and Estee Lauder. Those are among picks, or are your picks names like Procter & Gamble? Right, and that's what we talk about, those ones that are the real, the ambassadors, the ones that are year after year either pay the dividend, raise the dividend, and those are the ones that people really, really love. And then you have other companies when they start to struggle and they cut the dividend, and that's never a great sign. But your point is that some of these consumer staples are, I guess, a little safer because all stocks have risk. Yeah, I mean, you make a great point, and we just already kicked off the holiday season, and so far we've seen records, and we know the consumers out there, and these consumer staples always provide some sort of relief. Great to see you. Lee Munson, thank you so much, Chief Investment Officer at Portfolio Wealth Advisors. That's going to do it for us here today. Tune in every single weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, for the Watch List right here on the TD Ameritrade Network. I'm Nicole Petalides. Thank you for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Thank you very, 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 very much. Oh, I got a new one. I hated the pink one. And the next day, I ordered the same. My kids were like, "You just ordered the same case that you used to have?" I'm like, "Yep." They were like, "Oh my God, Mom, ridiculous." It's like, "Yep."
Testing mic 3, mic 3, mic 3, mic 3. 10, 9. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
What are we doing? Pizza? Pizza once a week, every week till Christmas? That sounds good.
Okay, copy. Testing, testing, mic 3, mic 3. Mic 3, mic 3. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Testing, testing. Yeah, it did. Testing, testing.
Thanks for a super duper show.
Okay, no problem.